sacred harmony, where healing becomes devotion and the inner world takes center stage. Tonight's guest is Donnie Summers, an intuitive emotional guide and sacred space holder. With over 13 years of experience helping others awaken from depression, release emotional blockages, and rise into soul led empowerment. Blending somatic wisdom, ancient spiritual principles, and tools like EFT, NLP, and mindfulness, Donnie's work leads people from inner class to inner clarity. Let's explore what it means to emotionally regulate, not just for survival, but for soulful living. Welcome to the show, Donnie. It's an honor to have you.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Mm. So, Donnie, your story of healing from depression and suicidal ideation is deeply powerful. What was the sacred turning point that began to reconnect you with your own soul?
Honestly, when my path started, the thing that helped me the most was purging all of the old emotions, beliefs, mindsets that stopped me from moving forward. I mean, before I even started my path, I didn't even really know that I could challenge a thought. That if something just came into my mind, like, oh, you're nobody loves you, you're not good enough, that I couldn't challenge that. I didn't even know I could challenge that and tell myself a different story. So what was pivotal, pivotal is that I was able to actually, once I purged these old things, was to be able to see that I actually had a say in what happened in my life, how I decide to think, what I decide to create, and that I could create anything that I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And was it a moment of surrender or a slow series of awakening?
So yeah, it was a moment of surrender, and also 100,000 other little moments, or a million other moments since. It's it's never stopped. It's not like I'm at a point where I go, oh, everything's just fine, I'm perfect. It's always now daily an act of surrender, of recognizing where I'm at, if I'm staying in my own lane, or if I've gotten out of that lane and I'm in another lane that I should be in life. And so, yeah, it's consistently an act of surrender every single day, surrendering what's no longer working for me and deciding what it is that I want to choose now, to this day, this moment.
I think many listeners are in the space between breakdown and breakthrough. Your honesty can be that bridge.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think moving into a more honest place with yourself and learning how to live an authentic life is the biggest gift you can give the world, honestly. Even if you haven't learned all the spiritual practices and tools and all of these things, if you can just decide to be an honest person, which starts with being honest with yourself, and being vulnerable and being authentic to who you are, who you want to be, um, and learning how to accept the things that, whether through conditioning from our families and society and school and things like this, to learn how to accept the things that most of us think aren't okay about us. Like when people tell us, like, oh, you're too serious, or you're too silly, or you're too artistic, or, like, the things that are our gifts. We each have these natural gifts, and often we feel a calling to do certain things in our life until people tell us, oh, like, you do this too much, or you really need to focus on this more or that more. And then we feel like this is something that's wrong, that's not right about us. And then we suppress that and hide it. And then we start wondering, why do we feel depressed? Why do we feel anxious? Why do we feel not good enough and worthy? And it's because we've listened to too much of other people's thoughts and opinions about who we should be and who they think that we are, instead of listening to who we are and how we want to be. And that keeps us stuck in patterns that just repeat over and over and over, through relationships, through friendships, through jobs, through family dynamics, through everything we're doing in our life, until we can be honest, vulnerable, authentic, to ourselves and accept who we truly are. And that's such a daily practice of always having to see, where am I not showing up for myself today? Where am I still listening to the world right now? Where is the voice of my mother or father that's still in my head that's telling me like, this is how I need to live instead of how I actually want to live? You know, the courage to be disliked, the courage to upset others by the way we live, not because we're living in a way that's negative.
Absolutely. And you blend modern modalities with ancient healing traditions. What role does emotional regulation play in true spiritual awakening?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Honestly, I think it has everything to do in emotional regulation, because a lot of times when we're not regulated and our nervous system isn't regulated, then we're living out of a fear-based perception or an anger-based, perception, or whatever our emotional home is, right? If that's anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame, when we're living out of that space and that's our home, then it's hard to find clarity. It's hard to find direction. It's hard to find movement, momentum, change, love, peace, calm. Um, it's literally everything. So it goes back to kind of what I was saying before is emotion is honesty. When we're honest with ourselves of who we really are and what we're really doing, then we have the choice to choose something new. So when we regulate our emotions, our nervous system calms. When our nervous system calms, our mind calms. And when our mind calms, then we have more things like clarity, guidance, honesty, authenticity, direction. We have all of that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And can we really evolve spiritually if we haven't learned to sit with our feelings first?
So I think it's very difficult to evolve if we can't sit with our feelings. And I think what happens when we don't is then we end up watching repeat cycles happen in our life over and over and over again. And then I think evolution happens no matter what. Like, we can't stop evolution, but the rate of evolution that is conducive for a more balanced, harmonious human being is difficult to achieve. Because I think regardless of who somebody is, even somebody who refuses to sit with their emotions, there's a time where events, when they're not changing, will keep drawing the same circumstances to themselves, just with different faces and different, um, outer experiences that still mirror the same pain and things that need to be dealt with on the inside. And so that creates change, because in some ways, even if it's small, it still creates change, because eventually we do get tired of the same situations happening to us. And we do decide to change things, to, even if it's something, just one small thought, to go, well, I'm not going to hang out with these type of people anymore. But yeah, sitting with your feelings is a great way to start changing and spiritually evolving, because when we actually, like I said, can be really honest with ourselves, that's when greater change happens, and fast. And when you get those rapid results, that's what really helps a person feel like they're actually living a life instead of just surviving through a life.
Mm-hmm. Emotional bypass is a common in spiritual spaces. It's refreshing to ground the sacred in real emotional work.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, I mean, we really can't bypass our emotions. And those start with it. For people that don't understand even what bypassing is, it can be extremely subtle. And I'm not immune from it, because I still do it myself, where myself and watching other people do it in their life, where it's really subtle, where something that you're going through, an experience that happened to you, somebody could say, "Oh man, I'm really sorry that happened. That must be really hard for you." And we can say something simple like, it's okay. It's no big deal. Or somebody maybe treated us a certain way that we actually aren't happy with and we don't like. And we might say, like, it's okay. I know they're doing their best, instead of really acknowledging how we might feel inside, where we might feel like I'm angry and I want to, set a boundary with this person or whatnot. And so yeah, it's important that we watch in the ways that we're bypassing our own emotions so that we can actually honor how we feel. If we don't honor how we feel and we continually bypass that, that's another way to not live an authentic life, to not be honest with ourselves, to not have emotional intelligence, to not feel our nervous system is regulated, and to feel directionless. There's a host of consequences for that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And your toolkit includes EFT, NLP, parts work, and somatic methods. How do these modalities help someone release trauma from their body, not just the mind?
Well, so these modalities work on a subconscious level, working with the unconscious mind. So the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the unconscious mind, and there's different numbers for this, but some say 80 to 90% of our reactions are from the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind controls our nervous system, our muscles, our organs, our functions, everything, the way we breathe. And it also communicates with the conscious mind. So conscious fears and thoughts and stories we tell ourselves come from the subconscious mind. So these modalities help to get further under the surface where the conscious mind can't go. The conscious mind can't fully understand the subconscious mind. So these modalities bypass our conscious thinking. And when you can bypass your conscious thinking and go straight to the unconscious or subconscious mind, that's where real change happens. And so that's where we actually get to core emotions, core beliefs, and we can use these modalities, which I do, um, through many different avenues, through the body, through our senses, because really our body is the unconscious mind. And our unconscious mind is consistently trying to communicate with us. So these modalities help to get down underneath the surface to actually create real change.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And is there one that you personally turn to most when you feel stuck or dysregulated?
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, that's a good question. I work with a lot of somatic practices with myself personally because I recognize that the stories in my mind are just stories. That's a way for me to look for control. And it doesn't mean that our thoughts and our thinking isn't important. However, when we're feeling dysregulated and we notice that in our body, even if we know, if you've ever had this experience where in your mind you're saying, why do I feel so anxious right now or scared or angry? Because this isn't really something to feel this upset about, but yet your body's still upset. You can feel it like almost like bombs are going off or like a nuke has gone off inside your body. And so sitting and learning how to be with the sensations in your body, to somatically feel and to have somatic intelligence to notice what story your body is telling through sensation. Because once you start collaborating with your body, which is the unconscious mind, then your conscious mind, it'll communicate with your conscious mind. And when the conscious mind and the unconscious mind come together, that's when there's regulation. Because finally the two are able to habitate a space together to create the balance, because you really need both. We do need the conscious and the unconscious mind. And so mindfulness and being aware of what's happening in our body is a great step to then be able to listen to the messages that often do come not just through the body, but through the conscious mind.
Mm-hmm. And many people still separate the body from healing. But as you show, true transformation must go through the body, not around it.
Yeah, exactly. And so the thing is when we don't put these resources together, we find that we're missing something. And there have been so many times, like I kind of touched on this a second ago a little bit, but when we're in our mind, right, and we can't find direction, and we're saying, I don't know what to do, I don't know what I'm feeling, I don't know, what I should do from here. And what's happening is that even when we find a story, even if I said, okay, let's find a direction through this, and I try to just find a story, it truly is a way for me to just feel like I'm finding control. And as humans, that's normal. That's what we do, right? Like we want to have a sense of control in our world, even though like there's so many things that truly we have no control of. We have control of like how we breathe, how we respond or react, a lot of simple things. And so when we can find answers through sensation, it can be mind blowing because every sensation is a story. It's like a book inside of our body, and not just subtle ones, but so for example, what I do a lot of times with clients, right? If we're going to go to the somatic place where we're going to feel into the body, once somebody's telling me a story, this person did this happened to me, I said this, I felt that, um, then I say, okay, let's check in. Where do you feel that in your body? Where does that live in your body? And if they say, oh, okay, I feel that in my chest. And then we get into details like, okay, well, what's the size of it? Is it the size of a grapefruit? Is it the size of a tennis ball? What shape is it? What color is it? Is it tight? Is it loose? Is it vibratory? Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it, and we start getting down to the most minute details of that sensation. That's when all of a sudden things start coming to the conscious mind because we're asking questions to the unconscious mind. And then the unconscious mind then sends those answers to the conscious mind from little things. And that's when things like memories come up. That's when things like emotions come out. Or when they first thought, oh, I'm angry. Now all of a sudden they see, oh, I'm noticing I feel shame. Right. And so it's a conversation we're having with our body all the time. We're always having a conversation. And if only we could show up to listen, even if it's in short increments, then we start getting real answers, real direction, real movement that aren't just based off of fear-based things we want in this world, but actually come from something that's sacred, that's beyond this time and this space, something much deeper and profound. And people around the world, traditions around the world have different names for this, whether they call it God or universe or love or universal source or whatever. But we start connecting with something that's greater than our own humanness, that we start to see that we're greater and connected to something than just our humanness.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you often guide people in the art of mindfulness and presence. Why is mindfulness more than just a relaxation tool? And how can it serve as a spiritual practice?
Well, mindfulness to me is much more than a spiritual tool because it can show us what's true or not true when we're mindful, right? When something happens, when someone comments to us, when we're in an experience or a situation that we're actually living in touch with our body and with our thinking, then these experiences can lead us like a roadmap to where we want to go. So getting to notice where a situation doesn't sit right with you, when in your mind you might be saying, oh, no, this is what I should be doing because everyone says that this is what you do. And when you start to see, but my body doesn't feel right about this. I feel this discomfort. And then we learn to sit with that. That's where we get answers, like I was saying earlier, where we start to see, okay, well, this discomfort I'm feeling, Is it discomfort just because I'm scared to do something that everyone should do? Or is it discomfort because it's something that actually doesn't feel aligned with who I am, what I want, and how I want to show up in the world? And then with mindfulness, you start to learn in your body how to differentiate between those two things. That's just one example where you start to know, I'm feeling this sensation. And when I feel this, I know that this isn't right for me versus I just feel uncomfortable because this is uncomfortable and scary to do this thing that is good for me. And just that one example of that one thing in mindfulness I explained, and there's thousands, that one thing helps you to change the way you live your life. And when you change the way you live your life, that affects everybody around you. And when you can affect those around you by the way you live, you're having a real effect on the world. And if you look at that like a cold or a flu, that energy can spread around the world. Literally just being a presence for somebody. I'm sure everybody's had an experience where they were maybe at the grocery store or out somewhere where somebody smiled at us and noticing how good that felt and how that maybe that smile that someone gave us changed our day. And then going home, maybe you went home and decided that you were more kind to your husband or to your wife or your children or your family or your friends because of one smile. And because of you being kinder to your family, somebody in your family went, out into the world and gave an act of kindness, and that spread and that spread and that spread. So we don't recognize that when we're mindful and we do things that change our life, that change the way we show up in the world, we give that energy, and that energy, we don't know how deeply that effect can go, where one smile, one mindful moment, one present moment in this world can spread around the world from one person.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And for someone who's new to mindfulness, what's one simple way to begin today?
So there's an exercise in, cognitive behavioral therapy. They call it CBT, and it's called stop. So all you do is literally stop. It's stop. You take a breath. You observe any thoughts, any sensations, and any emotions. And once you see those, feel those, think those, then you proceed forward with your day with a plan of action, or just proceed forward in your day. So stop, take a breath, observe your sensations, your thoughts, any emotions, and then you proceed. It's just a 60-second exercise that you can do that's really simple. And so, for example, if you sit down and you do the stop exercise and you see, okay, I noticed that I'm thinking a lot about how I'm going to pay my rent tomorrow, and I'm feeling a bit anxious about that, and I noticed that in my chest. Then the plan of action could be, okay, I'm going to take a few breaths right now, and then I'm going to decide, what it is that I need to do to make sure I pay my rent tomorrow, or whatever the thoughts or whatever the issue is that you're feeling, or to feel gratitude because maybe you're having a good moment. Maybe you notice, like the sensations I feel are warmth in my chest, and I'm happy about my life today, of how good my job went. And, you know what I mean? And then, so then you move forward with gratitude, right? So that's just a really simple practice for someone starting a mindfulness practice, is just to stop, take a breath, observe sensations, emotions, thoughts, and then proceed forward.
You make mindfulness feel like a reunion with the self, not another item on the to do list.
Yeah, mindfulness doesn't have to be this chore, where it's like a list. And I've been there on my path where I have felt this pressure where I actually know a lot of people like this. I feel like when people start a spiritual path and, a conscious minded path, then they start finding these communities and mindfulness experts, and everyone's got something they say you should be doing. You should be doing yoga an hour a day, and then work out, eat your microgreens, eat plant-based, eat vegetarian, eat only meat. You should be meditating for 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, and figuring out how to do all of these things where it doesn't have to be so complicated. And a lot of people quit because they make it too complicated for themselves, where there are days that I have a daily meditation practice, right? And I do that every single morning. However, when I'm moving throughout my day, if I don't feel like there's anything particularly difficult I'm going through, if it's just a really good day, I don't make myself say, okay, at the end of the day, you have to sit down, do the stop exercise, meditate, do some yoga, do some chanting, mantras, and then no, I just enjoy the day with my partner, right? I just enjoy that moment, but I also carry mindfulness with me throughout the day. It's a practice that doesn't just happen when you're sitting in that practice, for a meditation, whether it's 1 minute, 5 minutes, or an hour. It's something you carry throughout your day where you're mindful about how I feel, how I move throughout the world, how I treat others, the decisions I'm making. And sometimes mindfulness is just a moment where, for example, if I ever need to cry, I just cry, right? It's a healthy thing to do. It's a great medicine to release energy and emotion that you're feeling. So sometimes for no reason, I might just notice all of a sudden, wow, I'm feeling this intense emotion. All of a sudden a cry comes out for 10 or 20 seconds. And after that's over, I don't dwell on it. I don't think, what was that cry about? Why am I crying? Or what do I need to do to be more resilient or strong? I just go, oh, okay. I cried for 10 or 20 seconds. I feel lighter now. And now I'm going to go make my bed or go hug my partner or go read a book or watch a television program because I'm bringing mindfulness with me. So it can be a simple process. It doesn't have to be a difficult thing. You don't have to be some guru or yogi just to bring mindfulness in your day, and stop when you need to. And when life's good, like just keep moving forward and enjoy that moment instead of complicating it.
Definitely.
For those of you who are wanting to work with me and have a private coaching session, I offer a free discovery call where we see if we're a good match for each other. You can reach me at beyondlimitshealing@gmail.com. Again, that's beyondlimitshealing@gmail.com.
So, Donnie Summers reminds us that emotional regulation is not a life hack, it's a spiritual doorway. When we stop abandoning our inner chaos, we begin to rediscover our sacred clarity. So, wherever you are in your journey, take a breath, feel fully, heal gently. Thank you for joining us on Sacred Harmony. Until next time, stay soft, stay grounded, and stay soulfully present.